Hey guys, Areez here from Smooth Style Dance in Ottawa, Ontario, coming to you with a video of some basic exercises that will make your dancing better. Now, because of the coronavirus, we're probably not going to be able to dance socially in the near future, but that doesn't mean we can't still become better dancers. If we improve our strength, we also improve our dancing. I'm going to provide you with a list of exercises that you'll be able to mix and match into about a 10 to 15 minute workout that you can do almost every day that will also help you become a better dancer. Now, even though I'm a bit of a meathead, I'm not a doctor or a physiotherapist. So, if you have any underlying health issues or injuries, you should definitely talk to your health provider to make sure that these exercises are okay for you. We're going to focus on 4 muscle groups that we use a lot in this dance. Now, even if you're not planning on dancing anytime soon, you probably still will get a lot of value out of these exercises if you're like me, a 9-to-5 office worker who sits at a computer most of the day. You're not going to need too much equipment for this series of exercises. All you're going to need are a couple towels, maybe a couple cans, and if we're feeling adventurous, a backpack with some heavy books or cans or anything else that you might have around the house. So for this mix and match exercise group, I want you to take at least one exercise per muscle group. From there, I want you to do as many repetitions as you can do for a set, but leave 3 in the tank. So if you can do a max of 10, do 7. Then take a quick break, and then do that 7 again 2 more times. Do that for each exercise. The first muscle, or part of a muscle that we're going to focus on, is the rear delt, which covers basically the back of your shoulder. This is a muscle that you use in the dance basically for posture. If you find that you're rounding a lot, by working on your rear delt and upper back, you will find that your posture improves, which will always make your dancer better. The exercise we're going to try is the Superman. We start lying on our stomachs with our legs stretched out as far back as they can go and our arms stretched out as far as front as they can go. Then, using both of our shoulders and then our glutes, we lift our legs and our arms at the same time. You don't want to use your lower back to lift because that will cause pain. So really focus on really pulling your shoulders back and pulling your glutes in. The glutes are also an important muscle that we're going to be talking about a little bit later here. The second exercise we'll talk about is the lateral raise. The lateral raise can either be done with both hands at the same time or one hand at a time. If you're using both hands, you're going to lift both up, fully straight, and when you get perpendicular with your shoulders, stop. You really want to, through this movement, really pull back in your shoulders, almost as if you were trying to grab something between your shoulder blades. If you're just using one arm, you can brace one hand on your hip and do the same thing. You are still trying to get that same sort of grabbing motion with your one shoulder blade. So I would definitely suggest using both hands to start until you really get the motion. The final exercise we're going to cover for the rear delts is the back widow. These are a little more advanced than the other 2 movements we did, so if you're not able to do them, just work your way up to them after you've mastered the other 2 movements and have gotten a little better at them. For the back widow, you're probably going to want a couple small towels so that you are able to rest your elbows on those. Once you have your towels, you'll place them on the floor, and then you will lay on your back and put your elbows onto those towels. Then you will use your upper back to drag your elbows together and lift your chest off the ground. You will really feel this movement through the back of your shoulders and probably as well through the rest of your upper back, including your traps. The second muscle group we're going to be talking about is what's commonly known as the lats. These are the primary muscle group we use for communicating our connection. So the first exercise we're going to cover for the lats is the bent over row. These could be the easiest or the hardest exercise depending on how much weight you're bearing and what angle you decide to work at. So to begin, you'll start standing upright. Then you will hinge at the hips, which is really pushing your butt back so that you maintain a straight back even as you start bending at more of an angle. You are going to allow your arms to hang down as far as they will go. Like really straighten your arms as much as you can. If you need to, you can bend your legs a little bit more to make this a little bit easier. easier as well. Then, once you are in this position, you are going to use your back to pull your arms up to your body and really hold it and pull as much as you can at the top of this movement. Then, extend your arms slowly back down in a really controlled fashion. That's one rep. You really want to make sure that you are pulling with your back instead of curling with your biceps for this movement. If you're curling with your biceps, that might be a sign that you are also doing this in your connection, which is not going to feel great, either for either your following or leading partner. So really, really think about using your back and your lats through this movement. If you want it to be a little more challenging, you can either get heavier weights or start to bend a little bit more deeply. If you're finding this to be a little too challenging, you can either get lighter weights or start to come a little bit more upright, and you'll find that that will be a lot less of a challenge for your back. Another way that you can make this harder if you don't have heavier hands and can't bend more deeply, your flexibility just won't allow it, is to really, really go slowly through this movement and really pull at the top, like really pull it back as hard as you can to make sure that you are clenching those muscles and working them to their maximum. The second exercise we're going to cover is the floor pull down, which actually looks pretty silly. So you're going to start laying on your stomach with your hands fully extended in front of you, and then you are going to pull your body up while raising your chest so that you are almost in an upward dog position. Then you're going to let yourself back down and do as many reps as possible. You want to make sure that you are not flaring your elbows out doing this, because that could actually end up leading to some pain. So make sure that you are keeping your arms straight. The final exercise is another back widow, but now we're going to do it a little bit elevated. What we're going to do is actually put our elbows onto chairs and then do basically the same motion that we were doing before, where we are pulling our elbows together using our back to lift our chest. You can do this either with straight legs, which is quite a bit harder, or you can do it with a bent leg and your feet on the ground to make it a little bit easier. The third muscle group we're going to cover is the core, which is really used a lot for balance, especially during spins, turns, anywhere where you are engaging in basically two vectors of movement at the same time. The first exercise we're going to cover is called the bird dog. You start off in a tabletop position with your hands and knees on the ground. Then you extend your right hand and your left leg and really use your glute and your shoulder to do this, and then pull them in together, then extend out. Then you can do that with the opposite side, with your left arm and your right leg. Pull them in, extend back out. The second exercise we're going to cover for the core is the plank. Very classic exercise. You can start in either a push-up position with your hands down or with your elbows down. And this is a static hold, which means you just hold it for as long as you can. Make sure that you are really pulling your hips up so that you aren't really sinking, otherwise you're not getting the amount of core engagement as you. The final exercise we'll cover is the V sit-up, where you will be laying on the floor on your back with your arms and legs extended. Then you will use your core muscles and engage them to pull your upper body and lower body up at the same time while keeping your butt firmly rooted to the ground. The final muscle group we'll be talking about today is the glutes. The glutes are the largest muscle group in your entire body, and any movement that you're doing basically is going to originate from them, whether you're walking, running, or bending. The first movement we're going to go through is the glute bridge. You're going to start with your back on the ground and your legs bent. You might want a little towel or blanket to put under your head as a little rest. Place your hands palm down on the ground. Then lift your butt and really squeeze it at the top to get a full range of motion and all the work possible. Make sure that you're squeezing at the top, otherwise you're not engaging your glutes as much as you could through the movement. The second exercise we're going to cover
is the one-legged glute bridge. It's basically the same as the glute bridge we just did, except you're going to raise one leg in the air. Again, make sure that you are squeezing your glutes at the top of your glute bridge too, so that you are getting a full range of motion. Once you're done one side, make sure you do the same number of reps on the other side so that you are not developing any imbalances. The third movement that we're going to cover for the glutes is the good morning. The good morning is a hip hinge, and what that means is that we're actually going to be pushing our glutes and our hips back in order to bring our back in front of our body down. We're going to maintain a flat back through this position until we reach parallel. From there, we are going to start pulling our hips and glutes forward again to bring the front of our body up. We really want to master this movement before we start making it any harder by introducing weight. However, once you have mastered it, and I would highly recommend recording yourself to make sure that you are not bending it through your back through this movement in order to make sure that you've mastered it. You can start adding weight by bringing in a backpack, and you can load in some of those books that we were talking about earlier. Then, it's literally the exact same movement, and then you just come up with the weight on your back as well. And that's it for this video. Thanks for joining us at Smooth Style. If you ever come to Ottawa, please come join us on the dance floor.